If you want answers to all these questions, you have come to the right place. Stick to the video till the end and you will find all your answers. Hi guys, welcome to another video of Code Wrestling, and in this video we are going to talk with one of the great ML enthusiasts, Mr. Akshay Bahadur. For those who don't know who Akshay is, he is one out of 8 Google developer experts for machine learning from India, as well as 1 in 200 Intel software innovator worldwide. He has made several open source contributions in the field and successful prototypes like autonomous cars, alphabet recognition, and I can just go on and on and on. So guys, we have Akshay over here. He is an inspiration for those who wants to learn and excel machine learning. We heartily welcome you, Akshay, in our channel.
Thank you so much.
So Akshay, even I am learning ML. In fact, this channel started because of it. I got to know about you when I was in third year of my engineering, and I used to see your projects and it was very fascinating. So Akshay, I want to know that how did you start your journey?
Okay, so first of all, I thank you for having me on the show. I am actually pretty honored to be on this show. I keep seeing some of the videos on your channel, and I think that's pretty interesting. Okay, so coming back to the question, how I started in machine learning. So it's a very funny story. I started machine learning when I started working in my first company. This was back in 2017, and before that, I was kind of exploring a lot of technologies at that time. So I was exploring IoT, computer vision, blockchain, and all these things. And then I came across machine learning. So the main motivation that kind of intrigued me into starting machine learning was the fact that it was pretty difficult. Okay, so it was actually on my ego. So I started machine learning. I thought it's pretty difficult. And how could something be so difficult that I'm not able to understand it? And then it kind of became an ego clash between me and machine learning. So for a couple of months or at least years, I was just studying, trying to understand the concepts. So that's how I started in machine learning.
Okay, so you used your ego at the right place.
Yeah, after using it at a lot of wrong places, I kind of thought that I should use it at the right place. So yes. Yeah, and luckily it worked out.
So you were always a bright kid?
No. So yeah, I completely understand your question. It might seem so, but I was not. I was always the mediocre student. Okay, and there are two kind of people that I know of. One is somebody who, okay, and the other is someone who works really hard. Okay, so I was never the intelligent kind of a person, a genius, but I was always hardworking. That's what I felt. So for machine learning as well, I think I kept going because I worked really hard. Even though I did not understand the concepts, I thought that let me spend more time. So that's how I will categorize myself.
Okay, that's nice. So Akshay, let's start with some of the questions. So since you are in ML, you are researching about machine learning. So how do you see it as a career option?
I think machine learning as a career is probably, it's going to be very crucial, at least for the next couple of years, simply because the application of machine learning is so huge that it could be applied to a lot of existing fields, and especially it could be really helpful for a country like India. Because we have a lot of use cases that could be solved using machine learning, but we don't have enough talent. Okay, so within the next 5 to 10 years, this machine learning is going to explode, and we are going to have a lot of job prospects. Just that if somebody is starting right now, I will suggest that they should have the concepts clear, they should have the basics correct, and then it will make sense for those people to actually go ahead and plan or architect these solutions. So healthcare and agriculture are the two fields that I feel have the most potential of using machine learning.
Okay, so if somebody is learning machine learning in a very good way, like excelling it properly, then it is a very good option for them, right?
It is definitely a great option. But yeah, you have to make the right decisions, as in learning machine learning, learning the concepts, learning the mathematics behind it, and at the same time, you should not leave software engineering as well. So
Okay.
data structure algorithm, proper code writing, all these things are also very important. And at the same time, the concepts of machine learning are also pretty important.
Right. So Akshay, when I was planning to start ML, the first thing which I did is Google how to start machine learning, and there were like lot of suggestions, lot of courses available, and then I was just in a dilemma what to do, how to start. So any
So
recommendation or blogs or
okay,
courses?
so yeah, definitely. So what I'll suggest, what I'll say to your question is, I get this question a lot of times, and I actually ask this question to myself. The correct answer is that there is no correct answer. Okay, so I cannot tell you that a specific set of blogs or specific set of courses, if you will do in this order, you're going to get a great job, because there is no certainty. At the same time, what I'll say is that every blog or every course has something special in them. Okay,
Yeah.
so it has to be accumulation of all those sources. So even today, I keep learning, I keep researching, I keep taking some courses, because I know if you stop learning, that's the day when you start becoming obsolete. Okay. So if somebody wants to start, I will probably recommend Andrew Ang's course on Coursera for the basics of machine learning. He taught at Stanford, and then he made a course on Coursera. So I started using that. I think it covers all the basics of machine learning, including the mathematics. And then if you want to specialize, there's a deep learning specialization course from Coursera, which I actually love. So these two courses definitely I will recommend. And then of course you have a lot of courses on Udacity as well.
Yeah.
So I will definitely recommend those.
So
And
this
then
and
there's also
yeah,
and
please.
then also there is a blog on towards data science or KD Nuggets, which I follow. So I think those blogs are pretty good. And of course, as PyMet Search is also uh, quite good.
Okay, so this N2NG course, I think it was published in 2015, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think it was in 2010, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
It's a pretty old course.
So it's 2020 now, so I think a lot of things might get updated. So still, using that course or learning that course is a good choice.
Yeah, so I think digits were invented way back, even before when civilization actually happened. I think one of the first things that humankind discovered or invented were wheels, and wheels we still use today,
Yeah.
although we have updated it, of course. But I will definitely recommend that because it has the basics of machine learning. Of course, things have improved,
Mm.
but you cannot make words or paragraph without learning the letters.
Right.
Okay, so what I'll say is that they are building blocks. I will definitely recommend them. At the same time, I will also want to make sure that you guys won't overspend time on that, because as you already mentioned, it might be a bit outdated, but you will get some basic knowledge that is definitely required. So yeah, so I think that is could be one of the basic blocks, and then after that you can take up some of the other more recent courses.
So it will give you just a gist of ML, right?
Yeah. It will give you just it will cover the mathematics part, and I feel that is pretty important.
Very important, right? Okay. So do you feel that obviously for learning ML you have to do a lot of projects, but do you feel any must-do projects which should be done to learn ML?
I think there are no must-do projects, but I can explain what I did. So when I was learning, when I was doing these courses, I thought that even though I could pass the test at the end of every week, I felt that when you are actually deploying the code, or when you're actually writing the code for a real world problem, it might be different. So I started out doing these projects just for my own learning. So this was not meant to be published, or these are not meant to be publicized. I just thought that I was doing it for my own benefit, and then I kept open sourcing it because you know I because at that time I was not a lot. I mean, I did not do a lot of open source work. I just thought that I will have a record of it in cloud, so that I can refer it back. And then people started liking my work. So much the projects that I definitely feel are important is, of course, the Titanic dataset from Kaggle. This is for like normal machine learning. If you want to do image data, to want to work with image data, I will definitely recommend digit classification, alphabet classification. And if you want to do NLP work, probably some of the Shakespeare's book have been rewritten using RCNNs, using RNN. So I think those are the building blocks for machine learning, working with images and working with NLP.
Yeah, I've seen some of your projects in LinkedIn where for digit recognition and alphabet recognition, I remember.
Yeah,
So,
so that was my, like, I started doing that. I felt it was pretty basic. But then I also thought that I should give it my own flavor. And because, as already mentioned, I had some experience with computer vision, I was able to integrate computer vision with machine learning so that I could develop something in real time. And that made a much, a better impact. So that's
yeah.
how I look at it.
Okay. And also, I remember there was one of the project which was, I think, driving simulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty
So,
interesting.
So yeah, it's an interesting story. At that time, I was reading some research papers, okay, and I recently read FaceNet. That was part of a course itself. So I read the research paper and I implemented it, and luckily it was pretty good. So I thought that I should probably read more research papers that I could find and I could implement them easily. So I came across this research paper by NVIDIA, and it was for their self-driving car, and it was only one of the aspects. It was called as behavioral cloning, in which given the image of the road, you have to decide the angle of steering. So I thought that this was an interesting project, and the data set was not very big, so I thought that I could do it on my local laptop. At that time, Colab was not popular. I mean, at least to me, I did not know about Colab. So I started doing it, and I came across some certain issues. That is the, limitation of my own personal laptop. Therefore, I used computer vision techniques to filter out the image so that I was working with lesser data. And then because of it, I was able to make a better model. I'll not say better model, but I was able to make a more lightweight model, and that was able to predict correctly. So I think that was my whole learning process in that.
So I think I have seen this presentation on one of the seminar Open Data Science Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I present. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to know that how did you actually went into the Open Data Science Conference and you get an opportunity to present a seminar over there? It was really a big thing, I feel.
It was. I think because of all the work that I was doing, all the open source work. I made some good connections on LinkedIn. Okay, and then some of I also met through LinkedIn itself. There's a lady. Her name is Deepti Tomar. She was part of the organizing committee, and I became good friends with her. I mean, she liked my work. So she and I was at that time. I was not very, I did not follow a lot of machine learning at that time. I just thought that I was doing some pretty cool stuff, and that's it. And then she came up to me and she said, even she messaged me on LinkedIn that we had organizing ODSC, the first ODSC in India, and you should submit your proposal. So a big shout out to Deepti, because I think she was the first one who actually thought that I could present. So, and I saw the ODSC page. I felt that was good, but then at that time I was pretty naive, and I think the only reason why I actually went there was because they were giving me free hotel stay, and they were booking me flight tickets. So I thought that was pretty interesting that I would stay in the Grand Sheraton Hotel in Bangalore for one night, and that will be free. So that was the first takeaway from the conference. So I submitted the proposal. Deepti helped me quite a lot in submitting an interesting proposal. But when I went there, I saw a lot of good people whom I have only seen through LinkedIn. I met Fabio Vasquez, I met Tari Singh there, I met Dipanjan, made very good friends with all of them. So it was actually a turning point, I feel, because after that I started realizing the importance of these conferences, this open source work, and after that I got a chance to present next year at ODSC as well. So I think ODSC is probably is the starting of my journey into actual machine learning, representing my work. And since then, I got a chance to present my work at a lot of different places. So ODSC was, the starting point.
Okay. So even you are one of the 8 Google developers experts, as well as
Yeah.
one of
So
the 200 Intel software innovators in ML. So
yeah. So I think those numbers might be a bit different. So when I started, there were 8 ML GDs in India, ML Google Developer Experts. I think now there are around 20, 25 of us. So yeah, at that point it was pretty interesting. So the story behind that is basically you can apply for a Google Developer Expert. Google Developer Expert is nothing but Google certifies that you know a specific technology quite well. So because and that all happened because of the open source work. So I was doing some open source work, and there's a guy named Fadish. I met him through LinkedIn. He reached out to me saying that because you're doing a lot of community work, I think this is a good time for you to become a Google community developer. So he connected me with the right folks in Google who were heading the developer relations. I applied. I applied the first time in 2018, and at that time we had 2 interviews, but I got rejected because of some issues, and of course it was a bit disheartening for me. But then I took it as a constructive criticism. That is, they felt that I was not doing enough community work, and that made sense. So I spent 1 year improving myself, working on community, and then I applied next year again. I got in. So that was the story. For Intel Software Innovator, I applied. They saw a lot of my work, so I applied using their own portal. And there was not an interview process, but there was definitely a shortlisting process. I got to uh, communicate through email to the head of that program, and I was able to justify why I should be an Intel Software Innovator. So yeah, so those 2 things are definitely, I feel, pretty interesting.
okay, so you told that you were in Open Data Science conference, and that was one of the turning point, right? So
Yeah.
this Google developer thing happened first, or ODSC seminar was
No.
first?
So ODSC was first. ODSC happened in 2018. Google Developer happened in 2019, last year itself. So it happened in August. So I got rejected first in Open Data Science conference. Sorry, I got rejected first in GD 2018.
Okay.
Around, I think, in the month of September or October, and I presented my work at ODSC in 2018 in the month of August. So ODSC started my journey, and that's how I became more serious. And then after that, Google Developer Experts in 2019 definitely helped me connect to a lot of people who were also working in the same field. So we were able to discuss ideas. We were able to help build the community in India. So,
Okay, so ODSC was the key point from
yeah,
where you started
definitely.
and now where you are, right?
Yeah.
So when you presented your work, at that time, were you nervous or you were confident about what you are presenting?
So one thing about myself is that I'm definitely nervous at all times.
Okay.
Okay, so even before this interview, I feel that this is about myself, and this is something. Even though I have presented on stage, so back in my college, I played the guitar in my college festival. I have also written plays, and I've acted in those plays with a lot of my friends, and I was nervous at that time. So I think I have a bit of stage fear. But when I got onto ODSC stage, people were pretty welcoming, and I did not know, but a lot of them actually knew me, and I got a chance to know them as well. So it felt like family. It was presenting your work to your family, so it made you feel a lot comfortable. And now I feel that I am able to I'm able to control that fear, even if I present to a very large audience.
Yes, so definitely we should go to such conferences. It will boost up our confidence as well as it will give
Yeah,
new opportunities, right?
I will definitely recommend that if you're afraid of something, or if you have some fear, at some point you have to face them, right? So let's say if you're afraid of failing, that's still fine. But if you have to achieve something, then you have to go through failures. So you have to face your fears, and then eventually you will overcome.
Right. So Akshay, during this COVID-19 time, we all are
Yeah.
working from home. So how you
Hmm.
are utilizing your time apart from office hours, office work?
So this is actually very interesting. So I am actually doing some open source work. I'm working on some projects of my own. I am doing some courses online just to brush up. I'm reading some blogs. Important thing that I feel is that you should have certain takeaway from any course or any blog that you read. So what I do is I keep notes. I take notes. I keep them so that somewhere later, if I have to recall what I learned, I just do that. And then of course, I think because I stay away from my family, like I stay in Pune, my family is in Mumbai. Because of the COVID situation, I got a chance to get back to my family and spend a lot of time with them. So I think 1 month I have spent a lot of time with my family, which I haven't done since my 12th standard. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of really reliving those childhood days, those childhood memories. So I think that is also a pretty important takeaway from for me for the COVID situation.
So somehow COVID situation is actually helping us to involve more with our family, right?
Yeah, with family, of course. I mean, when life gives you lemons, so I'm just trying to make the most of what I have. So yeah.
Okay. So Akshay, there are a lot of people who are actually working in IT sector or maybe some other sector,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to transition their career to machine learning field. But there is a problem with time management. Like they are totally involved
Mm-hmm.
with the office works and get
Mm-hmm.
exhausted and not able to give some time. So as far as I see that you are also working in a company, and despite of that you are also doing researches, you are doing your own projects. So do you want to share that how do you manage your
Yeah.
time, or any suggestion to those people who want to transition their career?
Uh, s- so first of all, what I believe in is that if you like something really much, or if you're passionate about something, you will take out time for it no matter what. Second is I'm pretty thankful to my employers because uh, my managers, of course, know what I do and they have always supported me. So without the help of my managers, I could not have been doing this. So second is that. Third is, of course, time management is the key. Uh, I think you have to have some sort of a mind map. You can use as well to manage your time, to know that you have to spend at least 1 hour or 1.5 hours learning something apart from what you're doing at your present job. And fourthly, I feel weekends is the time that you get because you're free. So I used to hustle a lot during my weekends. So I used to do some courses over the week, and then over the weekends I was giving some tests, and then at the same time I was implementing something for open source. So that's how I did. I hustled quite a lot, and everybody wants to transition from a different sector onto machine learning. I think they need to work hard. At the same time, I think the important thing is that because if somebody who's transitioning from IT sector, like from, let's say, if they're transitioning from big data role, or if they're transitioning from Java roles, or they're transitioning from database management to machine learning, I think the key factor is that you have the knowledge of both of these domains, which I don't have. Okay, so you will be a much better machine learning practitioner than me, because you have not best practices of, let's say, Java developer, you have best practices of databases, and you can combine that with machine learning to build a product you know that can have both those perspectives. So I think that is definitely a plus point that everybody who wants to transition has over people who just know machine learning. So yeah.
Okay. So Akshay, this machine learning, data science, AI is literally become a big hype. Everyone wants to
Yeah.
just go there. So what I see
Mm-hmm.
that nowadays in the first year of college itself, the students are jumping directly into ML. But how,
Mm-hmm.
when we were in the college at that time, we had a sequence like first we will learn a programming language, maybe C or C++,
Mm-hmm.
and then Java, and then data structures, and then maybe web development,
Yeah.
and then maybe machine learning. So we
Mm-hmm.
had covered all the basics and then we moved to ML. But nowadays
Mm-hmm.
it's just like everybody wants to just jump into it. So what do you think that
Mm-hmm.
this basics are really important because before we are jumping into ML, or maybe we can jump into ML and we can cover all those basics parallelly? What do you think about it?
Um, so, I mean, I my what I'll suggest or I'll say to this is everybody has a unique style of learning. Okay, so I know a couple of my friends who are pretty good at group studies. That is, they sit in groups of 5 or 10, and they study quite a lot, and everybody helps each other. But I have a different personality. If I sit in a group, I know that within 5 minutes we will be chatting and we will probably discussing something else, probably starting to watch a movie or something. So I know that about myself. So everybody has their own potential. Everybody needs to realize that. Second point is, what I feel personally is that basics are very necessary. Okay, so uh, for machine learning is just, if let's say if you have an idea of mathematics, you will do good in machine learning, because machine learning is mostly mathematics. That is the research part, or that is the concept. But if you're implementing it, you need to know the programming languages, you need to know the syntax, you need to know the logic behind how a program works. Now, if you want to make the program effective, you should know the data structures and algorithms that you could use to make sure that your program or your algorithm works efficiently. And then at the same time, if you want to make your machine learning model work on low resources, you should have an idea of the underlying architecture that governs the computer. So operating systems are also pretty important, because they help you understand how machine learning model will operate and how can you reduce the number of resources. So the RAM usage, the CPU usage, how the kernel is interacting with the Python interpreter is also pretty important. So what I feel is all this knowledge is important. That is why mostly machine learning is something that I would probably cover after I have covered the basics of computer science. That is, algorithm, data structure, operating systems, computer networks are also pretty important. But everybody has their own potential. Like if let's say somebody who already has knowledge of all these things, maybe they did it in bachelor, or maybe they did it in class 12 or 11th. So then they can directly jump to machine learning. But at the same time, it's important to revise your concepts. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So actually, there were some of the blogs where I read that you don't have to learn Python completely, but you just have to learn only that much which is required for ML. So is this the right way to do or not? What do you think?
So what I'll say is that you should at least know one programming language very well. Like everything about the programming language inside and out, you should know. So if you know, let's say, even if you know Java, so I am mostly a Java developer. Java is something that I have learned back in my school. So Java was with me since I was in class 5th. So I started with my first program when I was in class 5th. And that was in Java. And since then, Java is something that I have been doing. So naturally, after bachelor's, my first job was as Java developer. And Python is, so any language is not very different from any other language. So the syntax changes.
Yeah.
The rest of the structure remains the same. So I will suggest that, of course, you should know Python. You should know the basics of Python, how to make a list, how to make dictionary if you want to work with Python. Okay, and at the same time, even let's say if you have less idea about Python, that's still fine. But you should at least know one language, so that you know how the background or how the internals are working. And then, of course, if you want to excel in a particular field, then knowing that language will make sense. So yeah.
Okay. So apart from machine learning, you're also working on deep learning, right?
Yeah.
So there are some of the blogs which I read that C++, we should actually code in C++ rather than Python. Like C++ gives you more advantage as compared to Python.
Yeah, I think so you have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages. So the good thing about C and C++ is that it is closer to the compiler. Okay, yeah. So all the code that you write is pretty close to the compiler. You can also make some changes in the how the compiler will allocate the memory and deallocate the memory. So it makes your program runs faster. And whereas Python is an interpreted language, so it's quite far away from the compiler. So it takes a lot of time for Python interpreter to actually read the code and then see what the instructions are there. And then it takes a lot of time for the compiler to actually run the code. Okay. So in that case, what I will recommend is, you should go with whichever language you are comfortable with. Python has the advantages of having a lot of libraries. So because we have a lot of libraries, things become much more easier for a beginner like me than somebody who has to write their own code for garbage collection or for memory allocation and deallocation. So I think it
Creating
also
their own
depends.
libraries.
Yeah, their own libraries. So I think it depends on their personal flavor.
Okay. Okay, Akshay. So just one last question: that any suggestion or any advice for the people who wanna dive into this field and start ML, or anything which you felt like if you would have done that, then you could be at a better place. Basically, your mistakes or something.
Definitely. So what I feel definitely is firstly subscribe to your channel and
Thank you so much.
yes, I think I did not do it. I actually followed a couple of other blogs, could not get a chance to see your work, I think, up until quite late. So that's one thing. And of course, I feel that taking part in Kaggle competitions is also good, which I did not do. And also make sure that you share your work with people who could help you improve. Okay. So I think after becoming a GD, I came close to a lot of folks from the community who were better than what I was doing, and therefore that helped me in making myself as a better machine learning programmer. So that is something that I did quite late, and if I had done this at couple of years back, I would have been able to I would probably have much more idea or much more conceptual knowledge for machine learning. So yeah, but anyway, having said that, I feel that everybody has their own everybody has to go through their own challenges, and these challenges will help you learn more than what you have already learned through textbooks. So I would encourage you all to make mistakes. I would encourage you all to fail, but then I will also encourage you to learn from them and keep improving yourself every day.
Yes, so Akshay, that was it. It was a pleasure
Alright.
talking to you. Thank you so much
Same
for
here.
giving your time and advice to our ML community. We really appreciate it, and thanks once again.
Thanks, Ayush. I hope you are doing well and you're safe amidst the COVID pandemic. And I hope that we can meet in the future and then we can discuss some of the work that we are doing.
Definitely.
And so, all right. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, Akshay, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
So guys, thank you so much for sticking till the end of the video. I hope this interview with Akshay has helped you in finding some of the answers to your questions. Please follow Akshay and his great work. I have mentioned the link in the description. You can go ahead and check some of his great work which he has done. So thank you and stay tuned with us. Do like, subscribe, share and comment. You can also write us at codewrestling@gmail.com. So happy learning. Thank you.